Ngiyaxolisa and I ask uNkulunkulu ukuthi yonke inhliziyo engiqinele mayithambe.
Phew. Yeah.
Mayithambe towards me, I'm not a bad person. That was not my original persona bengena ngayo. I wanted to go there as the clown, the funny guy, the loving person and everything. I can take accountability for, but can I also say it was done unintentionally. But when I do apologize, or whenever Uyanda and I mean things, it will not be a public statement. It will not be done publicly. I will call him or video call him and say, dude, let's chop it up. So what would I say to Uyanda, going back to your question, if I chopped it up with him? Honestly, I would just, first things first, I would congratulate him. First things first, congratulate him. When I do apologize, I will apologize for those moments where I was just unnecessary and where he felt I bullied him.
Hey guys, hey engineers, welcome to another episode. It's me, Lungelo, KM. Of course, who else could it be? Before we get into today's episode, I'd like you to please like the episode firstly. Don't forget to subscribe as well, because remember that when you subscribe, it helps us to grow the platform and have more growth conversations. But without taking any more of your time, you've subscribed, right? So let's get into the episode. Siphamandla Mthembu.
Yes, sir.
Abantu bamthembu umvelase ne?
Gabatela.
Yes. My brother, how's your heart today?
Hey, it's cleansed. It's a little heavy. I won't lie. It's a little heavy, but I'm getting there.
So there's a parallel of heaviness and being cleansed that's coexisting.
Yeah.
Which is more dominant at the moment, the heaviness or the cleansed part?
I would say the heaviness. The heaviness is the more, it's the more dominant one at this moment in time. As we are speaking right now, that's the part that is currently ruling my life. The heavy heart.
I'll get there. Siphamandla Mthembu, better known as Sipha Lee. 10, 15 years ago, we were probably in primary school, trying to figure out who you are, or just being a child and having a normal life. Take me to Siphamandla, perhaps at 13 years old. Where was he mentally? What was he doing? And where exactly were you?
Wow, 13. I was so sports focused, because that's when I actually started blooming in my sport. When you love something and then you try out for it all the time,
Sure.
Almost like an audition. You try it, but then comes that moment with, okay, now you've made it. Now it's just time to refine yourself and do better.
Yeah.
So at 13, that's where I was at. I was just focused on my sports, and mainly because I've been trying so hard, and then that's when I actually got that moment. Because I've been trying out for soccer teams and stuff.
Yeah.
And then at 13, I actually made.
So which team did you make?
It was Alberton Football Club.
Oh, so soccer.
Soccer. Yeah. Soccer. So I have great love for soccer. Like, it's my first love.
Did you take it into high school?
Yes, I did. I did play in high school. Unfortunately, I had to quit matric, because I had to focus on my studies. However, at least I still had rugby to keep me going. I had athletics. So it didn't really create that much of a void in terms of my sporting life. However, but then it did, of course, have that thing you would say, okay, I'm not playing football as much as I would love to. But then, you play your indoors and stuff. But it's not the same as 11v11.
Yes.
That club, you're presenting an entire club and all of that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I'd say throughout my high school, just except for matric, though.
Would you say high school was easy for you?
It was fun. It was fun.
So you're the class clown?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And my friend, we were actually speaking about this last night. We were chilling outside and everything. I was like, you know what, I could not focus in class with this guy. I had to maybe move seats or even like move classes because the type of person I am. Would it be blowing my own horn if I said I have a very charismatic personality?
Sure.
Like I don't care who you are and your ethnic group. If you're sitting next to me in class, trust me, you are going to get into trouble. You understand? Because I like to bring out the inner child in everybody.
Okay.
You know, and stuff. So I love people being comfortable around me and all that kind of stuff.
Were both parents there in high school to support you, to support the schooling journey, to support the sports journey?
It was just my mom. It was just my mom because with Itimer, we went. I think I never spoke to my dad throughout my whole high school thing, my high school time. Because I remember when I think I was in grade 6, going to grade 7, my dad decided to move back to KZN. Ekaya. And we spoke for a couple of months after that. And then I just broke contact with him. Because
lost contact?
Broke. I wouldn't say lost because I knew where to find him and he knew where to find me, but there was just no communication. So I'd rather say broke because lost okay, maybe in my definition lost would mean like you've been trying to look for somebody but broke means that it's something that can be mended, but it wasn't.
Why would you break contact with your dad?
For me, I felt like it was a very selfish decision that he took when he decided to go back to KZN. You know, when someone just decides to pack and leave with no explanation. And yes, I understand my parents were divorced at the time.
Okay.
However, but for you to just pack and leave with no explanation, if I'm going into my high school years, I need a father figure in my life, you know, because from primary to high school, you transition as from a boy to a gent. I wouldn't say a man, to a gent. And
you're a teenager. You have feelings, you have things you want to explore, you want to ask. Dad, is this fine? Can I do this?
You understand? Now we focused on Ambazani. Now you need fatherly advice. Now we're starting to drink. I need fatherly advice because, I mean, hey, man, you can do izinto, but with no guidance, you can be reckless with izinto. So you need sometimes that fatherly guidance in your life, and that's something I wouldn't say I lacked, but I didn't have enough of during my high school career. So the reason why Nam was like, Yazin, if you don't bother calling me, Nam, I'm not gonna bother calling you. Which child runs after the parent? Understand? It should be vice versa. Umzali, you know you have a kid. You should be finding out do you have shelter, do you have education, do you have transport, whatever it is. But so if you don't care, then hey man, same from my side as well.
Looking back in high school, did you resent him for leaving?
There was actually a point where I resented my dad. I won't lie, there was a point. Even when like would fill out like forms and stuff, you know, when you had to add like your parents' details and stuff, and then like father like deceased, you know.
Crazy.
Yeah. No, it was mad. It was mad. I think it was just that in Zondo I had inside at the time.
The hatred.
You know, the hatred because you know, I mean, I'm young, gone with no explanation. Now I have to fend for myself. I have 2 best friends who still have both their parents in their lives. Like even like the small things when I look like you know, when you climb like near Badini or going out and stuff, they had 2 options. I'm either gonna ask my mom. If mom says no, I'm gonna ask my dad. I had no option. I asked mom. If mom said no,
it's not happening.
Understand? Baba who's gonna be like, no, such things. Understand? So that thing did hit me. And I'm saying with the fact that my 2 best friends had both their parents, but what I love is their fathers played a role in my life. You understand? They kind of try to eliminate that gap whereby, because they knew, well, I mean, they are my best friends, they know my background, so they know, okay, this one, there's no fatherly structure in the house and stuff. So let us step in for him and show him what's okay. This is how you do it. Even the small things. I remember when my father's dad was teaching us how to drive. we knew how to drive because I mean, you know, that you Jonji motor and then my stuck. You need to find a way to get home. Understand? So, and I remember, and it was thinking because Puzile that night. So was there with some land where he was.
Okay.
And then it's like, no, let Uspa drive.
Yes.
And then Imot as much as jerker and and all of that is like Oksala Sophie and he's gonna learn today how to drive.
Sure.
So those are the things I wanted to experience with my dad.
Sure.
But I got to do it with other people's fathers who I also regard as my father because they played that role. They played that role in my life. So yeah, but to have my biological dad do those things would have been even more beautiful in my life.
Hey family, quick one. As you know, our podcast is all about growth conversations. It's all about igniting your power. It's all about healing the inner parts of who we are that are difficult to deal with and difficult to manage. As we do that, we'd like your assistance in growing the platform by you subscribing, by you liking all our videos. It helps us to reach greater audiences and change more lives. Do continue enjoying the episode. Do you think the class clownness came from a fact that perhaps you were carrying this hurt, this pain of your dad not being present, and you had to sort of perform to mask that anger, because there is a lot of anger that builds up over years when you feel rejected by a parent.
The whole clowning thing, I would actually say it was a protective mechanism.
I get you.
So I was bullied. Oh, well, people tried to bully me. Because I remember Ngati Sashala well, my parents were still together at the time. And before she passed, and everything, and I got home, I just got bullied and stuff. And then I remember my dad saying to me, I was in grade 2. Yeah. I remember my dad saying to me, you have a younger sister now, and we're Ndalo. So I will not always be here. It's like he knew what he was going to leave. He's like, I will not always be here, but you Siswako will need an older brother, someone ozomlwela. So if when you're going to come to me crying, when you are kala, so mele when you and be an older brother to her, so that she has someone to look up to. Because as I'm saying, Kate iterating, I will not always be here. So I would see a good, and even at school, the fight I would get into, it was always with all the, I do not remember getting into a fight with
an age mate,
someone.
In the same grade.
I think the last person I fought with who's my age was my best friend.
Okay.
Because I mean, at times, I understand, but then it wasn't like a hate type, it was just fighting as boys. So the whole clowning thing, because I knew Guti, even in life, I just use it. I know Guti. If you know Guti, I will clown you. There is no way you will try to bully me.
Sure.
Even verbally, emotionally, or whatever way. Because people hate being embarrassed. They hate embarrassment. So if bandu, automatically that shuts your whole confidence. So I always had that arsenal in my bag. Okay, you try to bully me, whatever it is, I'll make fun of you. And then if I'm back, it will like puma from Ipswin Bam. Understand, and the bullying will lendozane. Unless I it's not lendozane I then let's do it with our fists. So I've always been a person who just always protected himself at all times.
Matric comes, and as you said, you quit sports because you saw that there is perhaps a perceived better value in pursuing academia and just trying that side of life. But then matric comes, and then we all have to make the decision of what do I want to be? What do I have to be? Which I always say, I find it very unfair that at 18, 17 years old, we have to make such a demanding decision for the rest of our lives. But you were faced with that decision. What's going on in your head, and what decision did you eventually make?
During those years, especially grade 11, late grade 11 towards my matric, I never really had heart to go to the varsity or college and stuff, because I wanted to work. I just wanted to earn a living, because when I was at end of grade 8 towards grade 9, I saw Izindo started getting a bit financially shaky. But then I was raised Uguti, You do not complain. You make a plan.
As a man.
And you need to understand the situation. Like my parents used to tell me, masithi cha, ayusasifuna ukwenzela. Asinawo amandla at this moment.
At this moment,
you understand? But as umchita, you need to always make a plan. My dad always used to say that to me. You always need to make a plan as umchita. So and then I remember, my uncle used to sell izinto school like ama-jiggies, ama-pen pops and stuff. So I brought up that idea with my friend. I'm like, dude, asihlanganise imali and then let's start that business. So from towards the end of grade 9 till matric, I was an entrepreneur at school.
You were the guy selling jiggies.
Yeah. I was, and I wasn't even embarrassed
and
about
cigarettes.
The cigarettes, yeah.
I knew it.
The cigarettes we started the cigarettes in grade 10.
Yeah.
Because grade 10, we were like the popular kids.
Yeah.
So we stopped getting into trouble. So I knew which I was.
Yeah, it's under the popularity.
Yeah. Popularity is nice, guys, because you get protected.
Yeah.
There's a certain level of protection behind it because I was good in my sports. So my teachers and coaches always made sure that they protected me. Even when I was dropping with schoolwork, like with my academics and stuff, they'd always like, no, dude, you need to focus more on your studies, blah, 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 because now we need you in the team. You cannot be getting suspended or extra. I remember one time I even got suspended. When was it? And then I got called back at school because I had to go run. It was athletics.
Mm-hmm.
It was grade 8. A matric boy threw an acorn at me, so I threw it back at him. I didn't give a damn. I didn't give a damn about it. Understand? So I got into, and then I got suspended for that, and then I think I was suspended for the entire week. Only a day. That same day they called my mom, but hey, we need a permanent to go around at Germiston, represent the school. And
sure.
And my mom was like, but then he's suspended. How is he going to run? They're like, no, we can overlook the whole suspension there.
Sure.
That's where I knew power.
Yeah.
I got power here instead. So as long as I keep my guys, it's looks my leg. Okay, I just knew if I performed well in my athletics, I'll be safe at school.
Yeah, I hear you.
So with the whole setting thing, man, and then by the time I got to grade 11, I was the middleman, in the sense of if you wanted any exchange of anything, you came to me.
Protection fee,
not even. I never charged. I felt like a protection fee was a bullying thing, and I did not. I did not adhere to bullying.
Okay,
because I'm a victim of being bullied. You understand? Well, tried to. I've always had to fight for myself. I remember even primary school. I went to a new primary school. The first week I got there, the first 3 days I got suspended. Because I remember it was grade 5, because I was fighting for a friend of mine. Some small Indian boy, my friend we are seeing, and someone in grade 7 was bullying him. So I fought for him, and then, of course, I had to take the fall. I'm the one that got suspended and stuff. So I'm not someone who likes being in a space of bullying. That's why I used to love even the awkward kids at school. I remember Damien, Ivan. It was like this awkward kid and stuff. And whenever people would lend those and try to bully him, I'm like, okay, as in if you want to bully him, bully me first. Then if you get through me, then you can go to and else. I knew there's no way they want to bully through me, and it's because I knew myself at the time. So going back to the thing, the middleman. Like I mean, you're playing rugby at school. You're one of the top athletes. The teachers, Bayagwazi, the principal knows it, to a point where the time where I been my band class, and our principal was strict as hell. And he protected me.
Yeah.
I was like,
this power you have.
What? So I carried that throughout my life. Even when I got to college, same thing. When I got there, I'm like, Yazini, let me be the person all the cool kids migrate to. And I did exactly that. Because, as I'm saying, there's a certain level of protection that you get when you're amongst the popular
squad.
You understand? So maybe that's why I'm a ringleader.
Let's get there. One day an ad shows up on your Twitter, on your Instagram, or a TV ad shows up that Big Brother Mzansi is hosting auditions. When do you audition? Do you remember? And what's in that audition tape?
The Siam, actually, my first one, I actually wanted to audition for the Siam Washa, but I was still in the Eastern Cape. I was traveling. There's a campaign we're doing at Standard Bank.
Okay.
We're traveling in the Eastern Cape, so I couldn't do my audition tape. Yeah, so I'm like, this one, Lungelo, there's no way I'm going to miss this.
Sure.
And then, actually, my sister's one that sent me the thing. Langi born him, she sent me like, dude, this year you cannot miss it. My cousin also, they were like, dude, it's like I was living daydream.
Yeah,
they were living daydreams
through you. Yeah,
because they love Big Brother.
Sure.
I'm also a fan. But them, they like stands, you know. So they say me like, dude, do this. And then I did my first audition tape at home, but it wasn't proper. Like I just felt like something was lacking. It wasn't proper. And then I did a second one at my cousin's place. Everyone, and everything. I'm like, no, let me go do my audition tape real quick before I get late. I went into the chill room of Vala, and then lights on, everything, camera. Hey, someone actually said for them to notice my audition tape, I need to do something different,
something unique
from other people who are auditioning as well. So I'm like, let me come up with a trademark saying. So I was like, Big Brother season 5, Sibuyile. So everything that I did, audition, it had that Sibuyile. So I knew it. Maybe if someone is watching or listening or whatever, Nang lo Sibuyile, whatever it is and stuff. So yeah, I did that purposely. The same thing with the bandana thing. It was done consciously.
Sure.
So that, you can notice me. Because I like to stand out. I don't know. I just always had that thing of standing out. I love standing out.
Yeah.
People want to blend in. I want to stand out. If I go, that's the reason why I love to go to different provinces, because I stand out. If I go to Eastern Cape, now I'm a Zulu boy. If I go to a Bloemfontein, he speaks different from all of us, and I just love standing out. So with the audition tape, whatever I said and did there was to stand out. I know there were certain things that I said and did there that made me stand out from the other candidates and stuff.
Yeah. You get into the Big Brother competition, beautiful. You're there, even though you enter the competition in a not so ideal way, where the people who are already there, who had grand entrances, who walked to the stage and spoke to the host, you come in via a back door. So it felt like a back door.
It was.
It felt like you were rejected by the system. You were like, geez, I've dressed up. I've come here. I thought I made it. And here I am, like, what's going on? You enter the house. Did you feel like it was a second chance now that you're in and you had to prove yourself?
Yes, definitely. And this thing that kept playing in my head, why me? Like, why didn't I be part of the 20 that went in straight? Like, why me? I don't know. I just had that thing in my head. Why me? But then I'm like, but believe, boy.
Yeah.
Uzongen.
Yeah.
It was literally, not even figuratively, it was literally a back door. Because
When you say it became an insecurity that you went in that way while you in the house?
For the first week.
For the first week, okay.
For the first week, because I know there was a number of housemates that kept reminding us.
Okay.
Myself, Melino, Pilile, no Nonsugu, you guys are here by our mercy. You understand? So they kept them. Hence, I if you notice, even the comments on social media, a lot of people will be like, no, I liked Sipha Lee the first week, blah, 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 and whatever it is. I had to change my personality because now I had to assert my dominance, because now here are people telling me what you are here at my mercy. No, now you also here at Big Brother's mercy. It's not like you are here by virtue of your bloodline or your DNA, whatever it is. Now you audition like I did.
Sure.
We're just like you are picked amongst the first 20. But if I'm here at your mercy, that is not a nice thing to. So the same thing, and the same, going back to the whole clowning thing, using it as a defense mechanism. Now I used my strong personality as a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
You do not F with this guy.
Yeah.
So that's when my persona, that was not my original persona being out. I wanted to go there as the clown, the funny guy, the loving person and everything. However, your strategy kind of changes because now you need to adapt to the environment now, you think you're going to be the funniest person. Oh, damn, this Swiss is also funny as well. What? You think you're going to be the most charismatic person. Oh, damn, now Nguluzu and Ezra, they're charismatic. Now what?
Sure.
Understand? So you need to find a way to adapt. So I'm like, you know what? The best way for me to adapt in this house is to make sure I put my footprint and no one knows Guti. Law, is out of the question. Whether Dr. Dagi or whatever it is was a mukala fight, but this one is out of the question. Do not start fights with this one or arguments with this one. So that's when my persona changed in the house. That's when I was Sipha Lee and no longer Spamandlam Tim.
I hear you.
Yeah.
You will remind me, week 2 or week 3, one day we're sitting outside, you completely unaware.
Yeah.
You become the most hated person on the internet. Literally. In one day, on a Monday, you literally over hours, you come from this funny person, innocently goes into an arena game on the show where you're fighting for a title called Head of House, for those viewers who don't know what it is. So it's basically an opportunity to gain immunity for the week on the competition. And you are the head of house and you perform the tasks of a head of house, of a leader for the week. So it's a prestigious thing if you are in the competition. You dethrone a player who had won the head of house 6 hours ago, Uyanda. And literally, I promise you, the internet turns on you instantly, because it is perceived that actually this guy is a bully. He's mean. He's condescending. He's undermining. And actually, we've been seeing these bullying tactics because he's formed this cult following of bandana boys who are enacting and enabling this bullying. Did Sipha Lee, the clown from high school, take the bullying into the Big Brother house?
No. As I said earlier, Uguti, I do not adhere to bullying because I am a victim of someone who was bullied. So when I saw someone being bullied, it triggered me. First night, if you remember, the fight between KB and Nsugu.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, even in the diary, in the diary room, I broke down because I even nominated KB. Sorry, girl. I even nominated KB because I felt like she was bullying Nsugu at the time.
Okay.
You know, she had already built, I would say, abangani, well, not alliance, acquaintances, because actually, of course, mangine kala, so they were more familiar with one another. Here we are, as for we are still new, still trying to get to know everyone. And first night already, when you know good, you have friends back and everything. Now you attack this poor girl. To me, that's why I was against it, because it's a form of bullying. Going back to the whole HOH thing and forming an alliance and forming this cult and it wasn't forming a cult. We just migrated towards one another. As I just found other clowns like myself in the house. I'm like, oh, those are the gents I normally migrate to. Let me hang out with these with these guys. With the HOH thing, umchita. In the back of my mind, I never looked at it as a form of bullying. I was threatened by Uyanda's competitiveness.
Sure.
So automatically, as a sports person, what do? You eliminate competition.
I hear you.
Understand?
I hear you.
In football, there's Champions League. You wish to get the strongest one, like group stages, so that your road to the final is much easier.
It's smoother.
It's smoother, actually. So eliminate the competition early, and go to the final. Because if I explain it this way, if I were to eliminate like the strongest ones that I thought of at the time, Uyanda Ukuluva, and I was left with the rest of the gents, probably, who knows, maybe I would have gotten to the final as I had planned. But had I kept them and then I eliminated Laba, who I saw as no competition, kuzobanzima mangifika le phambili.
Sure.
Kuzobanzima. So let me rather ngibasuse kusase manje. So indlela yami iqonde nje kahle, you understand? So I never saw it as bullying from my side. And I understand people's perceptions and everything. It is okay. I understand it.
What do you understand?
Why people would think I went in with the bullying mentality. It wasn't for my side.
What is it that they are seeing that you now reflect and like, this is the bullying that people perceived as bullying?
Like having Amajita behind it. Same thing with KB, with Unsugu. She had backing, like Abanganda. So everything she said or did should have a backing. So I knew, I have my gens as well, you understand? So, okay, guys, our plan is we get into the final, we eliminate everyone else. You understand? The whole point is because when that when that mindset started, and you listen to these stories, and then you're like, gents, we're not actually here to mess around. We all need this.
Mm-hmm,
You understand? We all need, like for myself, I was desperate, man. I know my background. I did not come from a family in a Mali or a well-off family. I need this 2 million. I need these endorsement deals. So I will do whatever it takes to get this money, to get this bag. Because I've never been a person who cares about people's opinions or whatever. Your opinion will remain your opinion at the end of the day. But if I get my bag, people's opinions do not matter. So I wanted a safe space for myself, which was figure to the final without having to, how can I put it, step on people's heads intentionally. Understand? But with that being said, bullying was never part of my plan. Because I mean, I understand when people say you're bullying and stuff. I'm like, okay, but then is it still bullying when you've never sworn at the person? You've never had a physical altercation with the person. You've never had a verbal altercation, but then you are still considered the bullying. And then I asked a fan, Uguti, how was I bullying Uyanda? Then they said you kept nominating him. So I'm like, so when he nominated me, that was not bullying.
Somebody out there is saying perhaps you were not bullying him directly, using words to him.
Yeah.
But your tone when you are speaking to him, even through general talks, could be considered as bullying. 2, when you are talking about him to other people, remember the cameras are on you when he doesn't see. So you could gossip about a person in a very condescending manner. And that can build up over the weeks that you were there. And the people whom were your cult following, because as a leader, you've acknowledged that you were the leader in the group, and the friends who organically became around you felt like you're backing, if they're also sharing the same sentiment and spreading a narrative that is negative about a person, and in their tone, the narrative keeps on building and it keeps on building and it keeps on building. And honestly, if the person had done nothing wrong to you before that, it does come across as bullying. Would you take accountability on that you led a conversation around a person that was 100% negative?
You know what? That I can take accountability for. But can I also say it was done unintentionally? Because I didn't go into the house with the mindset that I'm going to go bully someone.
I hear you.
Specifically,
you came into the house for a competition for 2 million rand and you were competing.
I was competing, you understand? So I know exactly when it started. We were assigning we'd already assigned Abantu 2 tasks in the house. So we'd okay, group 1, you do the bathroom, group 2, etc., etc. I remember, I will never forget that day. I think that's the day people turn against me. I asked everyone, had they done, because the previous housemate, did you do your part, whatever. So I thought, like, as a leader,
took initiative.
Yeah, I understand. I'm like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make sure everyone plays their part, because I'm funny mundos of Yagimati. Yeah, I'm cleaning about those band money in a panza. So I'm funny such petty arguments and petty comments. So being like everybody, like everyone, did you do this? Do this. With boy, how he responded back to me, it was very rude. So I'm like, oh, so that's how it's gonna be. Because I remember even Umendi was diffuse. But nah, man, guys, it's not that serious. But if you remember when I went inside the house, they asked me 2 things you cannot stand. I said inconsiderate people and disrespectful people. I do not mind. We do not have to like one another, but let's respect one another. Let's be civil to one another. Let's address one another with respect and decency. But the way I'm penduleng corner, because I remember I asked him Luzugo the exact same question. Luzugo was sleeping on the couch. Like, Luzugo, have you done your task? Your chores? Or to Luzugo, no, brother, man, I think I apologize. I forgot. Being lel. Sharp. Upra, the way he penduleng our corner, it was not in a nice manner. And he kept reiterating, I am picking on him for whatever reason he states. I'm like, but then I did not pick on you. I asked everyone in the house, all 23 other housemates, have you done your task? I get kumundu no one on pendulega the way you did.
Sure.
But so I guess that day we did not resolve our issue. I think for me, I had to be the bigger man and go to him and just say, dude, I did not like the way you spoke to me.
Sure.
And can it not happen again? Whatnot. So I did not. So I held that against me. Oh, lona gangbone. So my attitude towards him is going to change completely.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because I'm saying, let's be civil with one another. Do not disrespect me, because I have not disrespected you. I always come with you with a very polite, polite manner, and I'm always civil with everyone else. But the way I did not like. I think that's the mistake I did. I was just supposed to go back to him later on that day or during the day and just say, dude, 1, 2, 3, I did not like. Can we just resolve this? But I did not. I carried that with me.
That attitude persisted for weeks until you left. Clearly, that was the perception of what people were seeing amongst, once again, the group that you were perceived to be a leader of.
Yeah.
Did it not click to you that, wait a minute, I'm an antagonist to a person who keeps being saved by the public. Maybe my strategy isn't the right thing to do, because there is something that the public is trying to send as a message, because that's the only message you get from the public, a person getting saved every week. Did it not click to you that I'm being an antagonist to a person who's loved?
It did not. It did not. I wouldn't even lie to you. It did not. Maybe it flew over my head.
Yeah.
It did not. I just had this thing, okay, maybe he's loved, but I did not think him being loved was me being hated. But I just knew, okay, he's loved, we are talking about whatever it is. Okay, sharp. But I did never think, no man, change your strategy. Be nice to the boy, whatever. And actually, the last week, Uyanda and I were cool. Him and I were cool, but I always say to people, Big Brother's gonna show you what he wants to show you.
Yeah.
The apologies, I think the apologies to people, he never shows that. So people always have that mindset, that perception of Alona bully, Alona doesn't blah 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 blah. And if you could go to the housemates, for instance, Jojo, Abobo, who else, Bishini, if I did you wrong, I would go back to, and the foot I wouldn't do it in public, because I'm not someone to do something in public so that I gain people's sympathy. No, I want us to be cool. If I want to hate me, that is cool. But if we are cool, the person who I wronged, it is fine.
Yeah.
And I even said in my life, when I do apologize, or whenever Uyanda and I mean things, it will not be a public statement. It will not be done publicly. I will call him or video call him and say, dude, let's chop it up. Or let me invite him out for a cup of coffee. Like, dude, let's chop it up. But people will not see it intention, and I do not want people to see it. Let them keep having this perception of Wuti, he's a bully. It's fine. They took it, they ran with it. Because now if I try to convince them otherwise, I'm trying to gain the pity, the empathy or sympathy or whatever it is. So I'm not trying to do that. If like now, okay, I feel me watching the episodes, but I'm like, okay, maybe I was a bit too much there.
Sure.
Maybe I did. That was just unnecessary. So maybe for those moments, that's why I would apologize to him. But as I'm saying, to the last week in the house, him and I were cool. I remember even that we were even in the same group. Even there's times where he'd come up with ideas. I'm like, let's go with idea. Let's go with idea, Uyanda. Ngabe my friends. No, let's go with idea, Uyanda. Because I had no hatred towards him. Yes, we didn't get along. We weren't friends. That's okay. You will not get along with everyone that you come across in life. But all I wanted us to be was civil to one another. Min and I. But he knew where I stood with him. I knew the thing vice versa as well. So this is like, for example, we had a wager that we were to do. I was in the bathroom. He was in the bathroom, washing my hands. I waited for him. Wapuma, we chopped it up, we walked together while speaking, while joking around to the back to the garden. But that was not shown.
I wanna wrap up this topic, because the narrative doesn't just come from him and the altercation you guys had that seemed to be long-standing throughout the period you were in the competition. But then in that last week, when you and your friends were nominated, your friends were saying they want to move away from you. Some of them, in their diary sessions,
I know,
saying you are the demon, for the lack of a better word.
Yeah.
It's not an opportunity for you to reflect, Sipha Lee, that perhaps I have a personality that undermines other people.
I do have that part in me. That's the part that's the persona that came out in the second week of trying to protect myself. That's the persona that lends on in that evele yaphuma. Because remember, as I said, which there's certain things that I did personality-wise or said personality-wise so that people could never, ever try to walk all over me. I mean, though guys in the house would argue with Amanda Mazana, I find that petty. As Mchida, you're not supposed to argue with Ndomazana. So girls knew, do not try this guy. Because this guy is going to switch you off now. Even when there's times where I made a joke about LTI and stuff. She took it personal. I apologized. And then she started the whole, I'm sure you've seen the whole trend in Sipha Lee. I told her, Machine, I do not like this. I kept telling her, I do not like this. This is what I was bullied for in school. I do not like this. So when you say this, you're triggering something in me, young Tola. And then I kept asking the other girls, guys, would you please speak to Machine? Ask her to please stop this because I do not like it and stuff. But then she carried on, and then I retaliated, you know, and all that kind of stuff, to a point where I thought she wasn't okay. And then I stopped. I'm like, you see, exactly what I did to you right now is what you've been doing to me. And I did not want it to come to this point. So when I say, please stop doing something to me, please stop. I have a good reason why I'm saying, please stop doing this, because it will trigger me. And then at that point in time, I'll not be able to control my emotions. We all have coping mechanisms. There's someone who takes a cigarette just to go calm down. There's someone who goes smokes a blunt just to calm down. I didn't have my coping mechanisms, and I know how I am when I do not have my coping things.
Sure.
I get triggered and I react. Had I had a blunt, I'm just cheer up, I'm like, you know what, forget about the machine. But because I was sober, I was agitated. You know, the certain things in the house that happen that irritate you. So now, when that one thing happens, all those things, they everything that you've been bottling, that kushuma at that moment in time. So I hate being triggered and ongusukelayo. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we won't be there, but we're here when you make that call. Firstly, I'm sure it's very easy to get Uyanda's phone number for a person of your position. Why haven't you made the call now? It's been weeks since he's been out of that house, 2 weeks or more. Why haven't you made that call? And take me in. What sort of things are you going to say in that call?
You know what? Maybe I'm just waiting for everything to die down. Waiting for everything just to die down. Let him have his moment. You know, between us two, he did come out victorious. You know, let him have his moment. And then once everything has settled down, then maybe I'll be like, dude, let's go out for some coffee. Or when I'm in the Eastern Cape or Cape Town, dude, let's go out where I see a box and go grab a drink or whatever it is and just chop things up. Even like I did with Abobo. I waited for everything to die down. And then the following week, after everything had settled, I called him. Bro, how are you doing? Okay, and even yesterday, I think I texted him yesterday. Hey, bro, how you doing? How's everything? I enjoyed the boza when how's everything on your side? No, I'm good. I was just checking up on you to see how you're doing and everything. And that is someone who also, I first had, I wouldn't say I had bad blood with Abo, but I understood what he did not like some of the jokes or how I would banter with Abanya Band. But and I was I told him everything. I'm so fond of you. I don't know why. Maybe he used to remind me of the thing, the classmates from school who used to be bullied. Remember when I said I used to love the awkward kids? Laba Abantu do not mess with Kakul. I used to love chilling with them, seeing their point of view and how life is for them and stuff. And I remember we had a conversation myself, Wabobo and Ezra one time. Am I wasting your time?
No. I have to time myself. Don't stress about me.
So I remember we were having like a conversation with Wabobo, just talking about Jamanto Mazan and all that kind of stuff. And then like, James, you understand with Youngin Chela, I already know and stuff. Oh, shit. Yeah, I didn't know because I just perceived you as this person who's always in jail. Introverted or was just in the...
Which he was.
He was. Yeah. And I wanted him to come out of it.
Yeah.
I wanted him to come out of it. And the reason why I was so close to Abobo, he wouldn't even realize it after he told me the story about his mom. And then he asked me to help him out in terms of his play, as well involved his mom. I was honored.
Yeah.
I was so honored. That's when the thing between the tension between him and I broke. But I understand Guti, there was still that thing because he was close to
Uyanda.
Yes. And I mean, I was parent, well, not a parent, but we were different
Polar
camps.
ends. Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Different camps. So I understand why, from his end, he would maybe nominate me or whatever the case may be. Because I mean, he's in Uyanda's camp. He needs to stay loyal. Nami, I would obviously save
The bandanas.
Someone from the bandana squad, from the bandana squad, as opposed to, you know. So I understood that he had to stay loyal to his friend. Now I stayed loyal to my friend. Understand? I said, "What if I win HOH, you get nominated? I will save you." And I did exactly that. Because the reason I love being part of it, and saying it's protection, it's loyalty, it's a family. You build a little family with Amajita. Wow, that's what I've always had. Like, my best friends have been best friends for 18, 19 years now.
Sure.
So when I build a friendship, I build a family.
Real
bond.
connections.
You know,
yeah.
It's not just, it's beyond friendship now, it's families and stuff. So that's what I wanted with the boys. But maybe I went about it the wrong way, or maybe I went about it in a way maybe my personality was just too much for them. You understand? So yeah, I think that's where I kind of went wrong. So what would I say to Uyanda, going back to your question, if I chopped it up with him? Honestly, I would just, first things first, I would congratulate him. First things first, congratulate him. If I do when I do apologize, I will apologize for those moments where I was just unnecessary and where he felt I bullied him.
Which is human, by the way.
You
To go overboard sometimes when you feel under pressure and you feel like you're desperate, right?
Desperate.
Because as you're saying, you're acknowledging that you went into the competition from a place of, I need to save my family. It's do or die.
Yeah.
Perhaps for some other people, they've got things to go back to. For me, it is do or die.
It's do or die. That's why I cried so hard when I lost the first arena games. Because for me, I'm not here to build friendships. I'm not here to gain fame. I'm here to help my family. Before I went inside the house, my mother took out a loan for me to get new clothes, to get a luggage bag, transport money, such things. So I knew, okay, if I could win my arena games and remain in the top 5, automatically I get endorsement deals and all the kind of stuff. At least there will be financial relief for my family.
Sure.
So everything I did out of, I did inhliziyo with my soul. I put my soul and heart in everything that I did. Maybe I just wanted the boys to be as hungry as I was. You know, even like the catchphrases I would tell the boys in the arena: gents, lock in, block out the noise, focus on your game. Make sure you're feeding your families as well. Usiya, Uswes told me his story. Uluzo told me his story. Ezra, I know his story. Like, we need this. We need this. Maybe some of y'all, maybe are here for the fame, but one thing about fame, it is not an occupation. It does not pay. Here is the bag right here. That's why, as I'm saying, it did not come to me. Like, I didn't care how people perceive me. I'm here to play my game because I know why I am here.
When we started the conversation, you said your heart is majority heavy. Would you say it is the regret of how you played the game that has made your heart heavy, because it has resulted in you not getting into the top 5 and immediately jumping onto these endorsement deals and these heroes welcome and this massive fan base?
It's a huge part of it. It's a huge part of it because, yes, I failed in the house. I did not fail, but I did not get where I wanted to get in the house. Okay, so now what's the second step? Building outside of the house.
Sure.
But now it is difficult to build outside of the house because you come out, you are the most hated person in South Africa. Where do you begin? I've never experienced such hate in my life.
Sure.
Not from friends, not from family, not from anyone. Not even someone I did not like at school. I've never experienced such hatred. So for me, and I'm hated by the entire country. I remember people sending me videos, reels of them celebrating my eviction. I was like, wow. So my demise course it brought so much happiness to a lot of people. You understand? Having to wake up to hateful messages. You want to go through your inbox. You think maybe there's a company or brand that wants to work with you, whatever it is. And
it's just hate mail.
Everything. Just people, and then you go to bed and big phone now, and then who could that be? When blah 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 blah. Damn, not this again. then you put your phone down, and then your family gets involved, hey, when Uma goes, don't, all the kind of stuff. So to wake up every day and to go to bed to that every day, it's not a nice feeling. I do not wish it upon my...
It's wrong. I think let's not water it down. It's wrong. Bullying people on the internet is wrong.
Yeah.
Just because a person has been on a public platform and their mistakes were displayed to millions of people, it does not give you the right to go there and be condescending towards them, to be rude, to be inhumane, to be outright a rubbish human being in how you talk to them. If you really care for them, as you say, or you don't want their behavior to continue in the way, you politely send a message, but frankly, it's none of your business, because he's out of the house and he's living his life. He's moving on, right?
Yeah.
And trust me, you adding on to the messages when you can see there's already a hate train on someone, it doesn't do anything for you or to you. In fact, it's a reflection of poor character on the person who's sending those messages, because you've got your own mistakes you have in life and you're not offering a person grace, especially if this person is taking accountability for their mistakes. Recently, you were live trying to explain the pain that you've been going through and expressing how sorry you are. I agree with you. You've been harshly treated. Perhaps to the extent of exorbitantly harsh. It's ridiculous how a competition, because at the end of the day, it's a competition. And you are being bastardized for competing. There are mistakes in how you competed, but you're a human being and you deserve that grace. We're about to part. What conversations are you having with God lately?
When I go down on my knees and I pray, firstly, first things first, it's gratitude. I always start by being thankful for what I do have. That's before I ask for anything. Ngiyabonga impilo, ngiyabonga abantu abangithandayo.
Sure.
I'm grateful for even coming to this podcast. For me, it is not a platform I would have been on if had I not been on Big Brother.
Absolutely.
So there is some good coming towards me from my journey in the Big Brother house. So I'm always firstly grateful to that, and then I do up and then ngiyaxolisa, and I ask uNkulunkulu ukuthi yonke inhliziyo engiqinele mayithambe. Mayithambe towards me. I'm not a bad person. Yes, I made bad decisions.
Bad decisions, not bad person.
Yes, I'm not a bad person.
Which all of us do, by the way. We all make bad decisions, but then our lives are not broadcasted on television.
Exactly. So everything that I think I took it for granted. Even my cousins told me, with everything that you would do now is going to be magnified. And marginalized also. They will be watching your every move, like even the TikTok live. Puma 2 minutes of, the thing in the TikTok, Puma 2 minutes was already on Twitter. Like, goddamn. And every time tears started going down, I'd like hide my face from the camera.
Sure.
Yisuling, and then come back again. Just so people do not see that. Okay, a lot of seen and during my diary sessions, but when you're in a space of vulnerability and you just break down, sometimes you don't even plan. It's like in the Big Brother house during my diary sessions where I broke down, that's when things got heavy on me. HOH was heavy on me. That's why even like the next week, I did not compete for HOH because I knew how much strain and toll it takes on a person. Yes, you think it's immunity and you get to stay in but there's where your soul, your mind, your heart is just like, no, I do not want this again. It's nice to be HOH, but I do not want this because it took a toll on me. Hard. So who knows? Had I not been HOH, probably would have stayed longer. Probably I wouldn't have turned into the person that I turned into when I became HOH. Because now you're the HOH. Whatever happens in the house, Big Brother Magbuza ngayo. You need to answer for it. Magbuz go to why lawyer nanga. Because if you remember, I was called to the diary room all the damn time. Because there's certain things I'd let slide. Yes, I'm HOH, but certain things I'm human as well. Would have made that same mistake and stuff. But Big Brother expects you as the HOH to act according. So I thought, as in, okay, fine. I'm the leader now. Let me lead by example. Let me not do what I'm reprimanding others. And now, if I'm going to reprimand you, and then, sometimes if you reprimand someone you are close to, bang, it causes a bit of a friction between you. I remember when I just read the brief, and when we started the brief inside the diary room, and then Big Brother delivered our groceries, and then he said the storeroom is now open. Some of the housemates ran to the storeroom. They ran, and then they were there by the door. I'm like, guys, you cannot do that. When Ukulova was HOH, why are you doing it with me? Why are you disrespecting me? Because you know, Uti, the only person that opens the storeroom is the HOH. So why are you here trying to do Msebenzwam? If you want to open the storeroom, earn the right to do that. And it did not sit well with a number of housemates.
As we near the end of our conversation, do you believe you owe any fan bases an apology?
From the top of my head, no. The only person who I'd owe an apology to is the person that I've wronged.
I get you.
Not their fan base.
Yeah.
Them personally.
Sure.
And
and that's authentic.
Yeah. The fan base, like, it's his fan base. The person I wronged now.
Yeah.
And it's the person I'm going to apologize to. Yeah, but when you say sorry to the who's fans for doing, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. But the person that I wronged, I'm going to apologize to that person. Let us be cool. I'll go back to what I was saying. I really, really do not care what people think about me. It is your opinion. Understand? It is your experience of me. Some person will be like, Sipha Lee is a nice person. Some people will be like, rubbish. It's okay. Rubbish. Maybe that's how I came across to you. And fine. But to the person that I've wronged, one thing I'm not afraid or proud to do is apologize.
Okay.
I am not proud to apologize. Apology is it's the first step into maturity.
I hear you.
If you're mature enough to apologize to someone, there's nothing wrong with it. Humble yourself. Humble yourself and apologize to that person. Humble yourself and apologize. I have no problem doing that. But to apologize to people who I do not owe an explanation, that is not something I think I have in my heart to do.
What's the one thing you know for sure in life that you're absolutely certain of?
If you're certain about anything, I thought I knew myself until I went to that house and I realized, no, I do not know myself enough. So I'm still trying to learn me. I'm still trying to learn life. I don't think there's anything certain that I know. So I'm still in the progress of learning. I'm a work in progress now.
I think from this conversation, it's living in my heart that as human beings, we make mistakes. We deserve grace. It's also living in my heart, also as a person who has this public platform, that be kinder. We pour our hearts into art. We pour our hearts into our creativity, into sharing who we are with people in the public. And we get hurt as well when we are being bullied, when people are being rude to us, when people are just undermining us. Because the very mistakes that you are pointing out and highlighting from us, you are making them. It's just that you are making them behind closed doors. Don't forget to be kind. Don't forget to be forgiving. And don't forget to spread the love. Sipha Lee, thank you so much, my brother. It's been an absolute privilege. I wish you all the best in your career. God loves you. There is no bin for a human being. And watch your life turn out to be amazing.
Oh, thank you so much, Buffett. I am honored and grateful to be here. Thank you so much.
The show is Engineer Your Life, and I'm Lungelo KM. I'll see you on the next episode. Kholwa emandleni onawo. Oh my, we're finally doing this. What does EYL Africa represent? It's about standing in your power. It's about, in isiZulu, it's Kholwa emandleni onawo, which is our tagline. You will see it on the back of my t-shirts. It's about believing in the power that you have, believing in the power that your God, your guides have invested in you. Shop our socks, shop our t-shirt, and just keep believing in yourself. EYL Africa.
now available on EYLshop.Africa.